Hi, everybody. I'm Boyd Pierce, your host on Mid-South Wrestling Television Network. We invite you to join us this week for another outstanding card signed by matchmaker Grizzly Smith. You'll see the return of Steve, Dr. Death Williams. Also, Captain Redneck Dick Murdoch is here. Kamala, the Ugandan Warrior. And also, the Great Kabuki will wrestle. Tag team action sees the Mid-South Tag Team Champions Ted DiBiase and Matt Bourne. Mr. Rashing 2 in the ring against gorgeous Gino Hernandez. You'll see all the action right here on this outstanding television station. This week's edition of Mid-South Wrestling Television Network. I'm your host, Boyd Pierce, and we have a lot of exciting action as we see the return of Dr. Death, Steve Williams. Also, Captain Redneck Dick Murdoch is here. Kamala, the Ugandan Warrior. Also, from H&H Enterprises, the Great Kabuki will appear. Mid-South Tag Team Champions Ted DiBiase and Matt Bourne. And listen to this, Mr. Racing 2 in the ring against gorgeous Gino Hernandez. A great card. We have a great guest commentator, Cowboy Bill Watts. Bill?
Well, thank you, Boyd. It's great to be back. And, you know, I just received a call from the Junkyard Dog. And the end of January, and his loser leave suspension is up. And I guess you could look at several things. I'd like to say what a great tag team he and Stagger Lee would be. I'm sure Ted DiBiase won't agree with me, but it's coming around the corner. Another thing, on Christmas night in Dallas, Texas, Kerry Von Erich was in a cage match for the world's title with Ric Flair. And you know, a lot of times and places, people think that certain wrestlers change their personality. I don't believe a wrestler can change his personality. I believe he is what he is. And you know, I wrestled against the Freebirds with Michael Hayes and Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts, and I never liked him. Michael Hayes was the kind of guy that I wanted to slap his face, and I don't think I'd ever gotten tired of it. I think if his daddy had done it, he wouldn't pout so much, let his hair grow so long and fine. He just was a little bit confused, I think, as to whether he wanted to look like a man or a woman. Well, in Christmas night in Dallas, he proved his true colors and cost Kerry Von Erich the possible world's title. And we hope to have, within 2 weeks, a film clip from Dallas showing you. But like I say, I think sometimes these guys try to pull the wool over the fans' eyes, but they just can't. Another man who's never changed, who's always been the same, because he is what he is wrestling too. And when you threaten him or try to tear his identity down or his respect down, he reacts with a lot of power and violence. And Reeser Bowden was asking him about that incident that happened here 2 weeks ago.
Well, a lot of very exciting things have been happening recently in Mid-South Wrestling, particularly in the last couple of weeks. 2 weeks ago, Tony Torres came into the ring to wrestle Kamala, the Ugandan Warrior, and he was wearing a black and white mask very similar to the one worn by Mr. Wrestling 2. This upset Mr. Wrestling 2, and he came into the ring consequently losing his composure, and there was quite a scuffle going on, and he was doing fine until other things began to happen, and was disabled. Thereby was not able to fulfill a contract later on this card in which he was to team up with Stagger Lee in a title match for the Mid-South Tag Team Championships. Consequently, Mr. Olympia took his place, and this was a deal where the loser of the fall had to leave town.
And, unfortunately, Olympia lost the match because of my stupidity, you might say, because I lost my temper, went out there and dove right into Kamala and the rest of them, and I think I pretty well held my own under the circumstances. And as I was going for the mask of that safari jerk, Kamala came down on me and disabled me. But you know, I'll tell you something, when a man starts fooling with my mask, I've worked too hard and too long to build up the reputation that I have. And I'm very proud to be Mr. Wrestling. When somebody tries to put Mr. Wrestling down, they're trying to put me down. And I'm not going to stand for that no matter what. And, you know, it's just one of those unfortunate things. I apologize to the people, and I hope I can rectify it.
Well, of course, Mr. Wrestling 2 has been on edge recently because of a lot of threats and defacing of property and so forth, but I'd like to find out, have there been any threats and defacing of property since that time?
No, there hasn't been. That kind of tells me something right there. There hasn't been any threats lately. I don't know what the purpose of the thing was to begin with, but nevertheless, like I said before, when anybody, I don't care who he is, where he comes from, when he starts messing with my family, my personal property, he's going to pay, and pay dearly. Kamala and the other two jerks he got standing beside him, I haven't finished with you yet. You can be sure of that.
Well, it's quite possible that it hasn't come to an end yet. Wait and see.
Well, wrestling, too, is not an eloquent speaker in a grandiose manner. He just plain spoken, and he made an understatement that Kamala, Akbar, and Kamala's man Friday, he's not through with them. And I think everybody that was here and saw that 2 weeks ago, he whipped all three of them until he got too involved in taking off Friday, or whatever his name is, mask. But wrestling, too, is not through with them. Another powerful young man, Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Let's relive when he did a bench press with repetitions at 500 pounds, came back with no rest period at all, and did 550 pounds at a 240-pound body weight. And the man that was spotting him the weights was a Junkyard Dog, and Stagger Lee was on the scene. Let's look at that.
We're here at the Irish McNeil Boys Club. You wonder how these guys work out. Well, here's one of the strongest men in the world, Mr. USA Tony Atlas. He's getting ready to do 500 pounds on the bench press. The Junkyard Dog and Stagger Lee standing by here to spot him on this. He's going to try to do 2 reps with 500 pounds, and then he'll come back later and do 550 pounds. This is something few people ever get to see done, and there's only an elite few that have ever done it. Unless you've done something like this, you don't know the pressure, the mental preparation, the strength preparation that goes in, a lot of concentration. This is an art, it's a skill all its own. He's got to be psyched out, he's got to be pumped, he's got to have his feet set, he's got to be completely ready. You're going to see those steel turbines and those 22-inch arms get ready to blow it off that chest. He'll come down to his chest and right up.
Rock with it, Daddy. Rock with it. Rock with it. Rock with it.
Okay. You just saw him do 500 pounds, JYD, and then we're going to reload it. We're going to go to 550 pounds. And JY, you're one of the men that's bench pressed in this range. Just tell the people what that feels like.
It feels real good, man. It shows you got strength. It shows you got a little bit of knowledge about lifting these weights. And furthermore, I got a lot of other things to show these people. And don't get too close to my man Stagger Lee there, because I'm working it right now.
Well, I was wanting to ask him a couple of questions because he shocked some people here last week with DiBiase, and I think that you have a little something to do with that. You've mentioned Stagger Lee in your past, something to do with milk money and riding a school bus.
Used to beat milk when I was a kid and take my milk money, but now I got him here to beat up somebody else and take their milk money.
Do you think we can get an interview while Tony's getting himself ready for the 550, or you're saying you don't want us to talk to Stagger Lee?
Interview with me or him?
What's Stagger Lee?
Oh, no, I talk for Stagger Lee. I brought him in there. I talk for Stagger Lee. He don't say nothing.
Okay.
He just stand there.
Okay, partner. What are you going to do for 90 days?
I'm going to sit around and buy myself a ticket, go to every arena I want to, and take care of my man Stagger Lee, drive around that big 450 Mercedes I'm driving.
Okay. Well, here it comes. Here's Tony Atlas, and we're ready to see him try an attempt on 550 pounds. He's got to be so set mentally. You just can't imagine when you know you've got like a house coming down on you. It's the steel plates. These are 45-pound plates. Each one's a 45-pounder, coming down to a 25 on the end, plus the Olympic bar. One of you there at home, try this sometime with a lot less weight, and you'll get some idea of what it takes. We want everybody quiet now.
Rock with it, baby. Rock with it. Rock with it. Rock with it.
Lock it out, lock it out, lock it out. Push it, push it. You got it. You got it. 550 pounds.
Boy, the people that can bench press like that, you can count on both hands. And most of them are a lot bigger in body weight. Tony Atlas did that at 240 pounds body weight with very little rest. I think it's fantastic.
Just a tremendous athlete, and we'll see another one in action, number 76 of the Oklahoma Sooners on his return, Steve Dr. Death Williams, after this important message.
This event is for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. In the red corner at 242 pounds from Houston, Texas, Tom Renesto Jr. And in the blue corner at 290 pounds from Lakewood, Colorado, Steve Dr. Death Williams.
And the jeers of the crowd when Tom Ernesto Jr. was introduced turns to cheers with the introduction of Dr. Death Steve Williams. Jerry Usher, the referee, calls for the bell. Here's Bill Watts.
Well, it's great to have the doc back. He's fresh out of the Fiesta Bowl, and the tape on the right hand, he cracked his wrist in that game. He played the whole second half and part of the first half with a cracked wrist, and Doc is just one of those guys that he doesn't make excuses. He goes out and gives it his all. He had a good year this year. And he's looking forward to the pro draft, and we're looking forward to him hopefully staying with wrestling. I know football he loves, so he'll probably be doing both. Look at that headlock right over onto his back, and Tom Ernesto Jr. is in a lot of trouble with a man 285, 295 pounds. Ernesto gets his feet out. We want to welcome some children from the Evergreen Vocational School in Minden, Louisiana, here at the television taping at the Irish Neal Boys Club tonight. Talking football, I was very proud to meet Roger Carr in the airport the other day. Roger was coming back home from playing his last game for the season with the Seattle Seahawks. Great athlete from Louisiana Tech, played at the same school as Terry Bradshaw, and of course he's now a 9-year veteran of the NFL. And the interesting thing, I was talking to him and his children, is Roger grew up and spent a lot of time in Seminole and Shawnee, Oklahoma. And I asked him how he escaped and got down here in Louisiana from the colleges in Oklahoma, but he'd moved down and played at Louisiana Tech, and great athlete and a fine gentleman. And he had a slight injury to his abdominal wall in his stomach, and I certainly hope by the time he sees this that he's well and doesn't have a hitch in his get-along. Steve Dr. Death Williams, a man that had that name since he was in high school. And I can tell you, Oklahoma sure needs a heavyweight like him this year at the University of Oklahoma. OSU, the fine team there, has Big Mitch Shelton, a 400-pounder. LSU, who's in our area, Louisiana State University, has Big John Tenta, a 340-pounder that's a youngster from Canada. At the University of Oklahoma with Stan Abel, Sooners don't have really a super heavyweight, and they miss him. That's that home run punch on the end. As Tom Ernesto's going to find out if he keeps picking on Doc, because Doc just come ungeared on you. Doc forearm smashes there. Turnbuckle. He elevates him. And Doc is on him. He's always been an aggressive individual. Loves that body contact. Look at him. Just pick him up like he's a rag doll. There's that Oklahoma Stampede. And I'm proud every time I see him do it. Cradle, he's got it.
1, 2, 3. Dr. Death Steve Williams with a victory. We'll be back after this message from Mid-South Wrestling Television Network.
This event is for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. In the red corner at 250 pounds from Rome, Georgia, Marty Lundy. The ring now, 282 pounds, Dick Murdoch.
Well, Captain Redneck Boyd, he's getting welcome back to Mid-South the hard way. Marty Lundy wanting to get right on him and snuff him out, and that's a good thing for a young man when you're against an international star, a man that's truly an international star. Wrestles Japan, Hong Kong, Dubai, all over the world. When he's coming in, you better take your best shot. The best way is to get him before he gets out of the starting blocks and try to beat him, because you're not in there to earn money by the hour. All you got to do is earn it for 3 seconds when you hold a man's back to the mat. And Marty Lundy knows what a feather it'd be in his cap to beat Captain Redneck, Dick Murdoch. Almost got him. He had a 2 count. He better quit worrying about the referee. A lot of guys pay too much attention to the referee, and it distracts their concentration and oftentimes causes them to get beat. Oh, a drop kick. Dick Murdoch showing the agility that makes this big, powerful man from Waxahachie, Texas, such a tremendous competitor. Saw the American Dream, the Dusty Rhodes in Houston the other day, and Dusty was talking about getting a hold of Dick Murdoch and reforming the tag team that not only struck fear to the hearts of every one of their opponents, it also made the promoters that were booking them a little leery, because they were the Outlaws. They were truly a wild bunch. Marty Lundy's taking it too, Dickie. Got Kamala next, then the Great Kabuki, and Gary Hart of H&H Enterprises is here. Then Bruno San Martino Jr. makes his debut with Buddy Landell against Ted DiBiase and Matt Bourne, and a big main event, a television main event, Mr. Wrestling 2 against gorgeous Gino Hernandez. Exciting day of action. We're glad you invited us into your homes again, because you fans are what makes Mid-South Wrestling the #1 television program in your area. We appreciate it. Grizzly Smith doing a great job of matchmaking. Congratulations to Lou Holtz and the Arkansas Razorbacks. I was on the plane. Lou was on American Airlines heading down to the Bluebonnet Bowl. That big court, that big right guard. What a powerful young man he is. I got to see him in the Dallas airport. And he's truly a fine specimen as these guys went on down and took care of business in the Bluebonnet Bowl. Murdoch going up for that suplex, cranking him right up, and he drops him. The brain buster, he learned it from Killer Carl Cox. He has a little bit different variation, Boyd, where he drives that neck in.
He did, Bill, and Marty Lundy started the action. Captain Redneck Dick Murdoch finished it with a victory. We'll be back after this word.
This event is for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. In the blue corner at 250 pounds from Topeka, Kansas, Art Cruz. And entering the ring now at 385 pounds, managed by General Skandor Akbar, the awesome Kamala, the Ugandan warrior.
Art Cruz making his debut on Mid-South Wrestling, and across the ring, I don't know how you would describe it, Bill, but
Boyd, how would you like to be making your debut on Mid-South and have to face that apparition?
Not
right
only
out
him, but look at his entourage with him. His man Friday,
I tell you,
General
that
Akbar.
entourage is not going to hurt you near what he's going to do. Kamala, 365, 385 pounds, who knows? An awesome man. People are even wondering if the eighth wonder of the world, if Andre the Giant, 7'4" and 500 pounds, whether he can beat Kamala. He hasn't proved it. And Art Cruz has just been, you just get hit with so much mass. It's just like trying to stop a freight train. You know, a lot of guys I've watched, and they do some tremendously effective things against him, but he has so much mass to absorb it. It's like a knockout punch in boxing. That's why it's hard to knock a wrestler out, is because he's got the huge neck to absorb it. And they've discovered in science that that's exactly the basis for it, is how much movement is in the neck. And Kamala's got all that mass, and he moves it right on top of you, as he's just done to Art Cruz.
Kamala continues running roughshod over all opposition, and we'll be back. The great Kabuki in action after this word.
Before we get into the introductions for this match, I'm sure that all the wrestling fans would be very interested to know why General Skandor Akbar is here with Gary Hart and the great Kabuki.
Well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate Gary Hart on his tremendous campaign with H&H Incorporated, and what a tremendous athlete that the great Kabuki is, how many victories that he's chalked up, Gary. And one of the main reasons that I've asked you to be here tonight is there's 4 obstacles here in the Mid-South that, so to speak, is a thorn in the general's side. When I'm talking about Stagger Lee, Captain Redneck, Dick Murdoch, Mr. Wrestling number 2, and Tony Big Guns Atlas. And I was thinking somewhat of a merge, perhaps. What do you think, Gary?
Just let me say this. I have always found you to be the wisest of them all when it comes to dealing with money. You have a lot of money, and you can't find enough ways to spend your money. Anytime you want to put some of that money in my pocket, you will not find that my pockets are sewed up. Stuff all you want and whatever you want done, because to me, you are like the bank of the wrestling, and I'm gonna come collect. And Kamala, absolutely fantastic. Could you imagine what we could put together between you and I?
Now we have the answer as to why General Skandor Akbar is here. And to get on with this event,
I'll talk to you after a while. Okay, we'll get together before this is over.
in the blue corner at 222 pounds from Knoxville, Tennessee, Tim Horner. And at 235 pounds from Singapore, managed by Gary Hart, the great Kabuki.
Tim Horner versus the great Kabuki. Well, Bill, things continue to go on that you never would even think of.
Well, you got that right, boy. You sit here and you watch, and you just see things happening, and in very few words out there, one of the most diabolical things that ever hit Mid-South could possibly have just hatched. Can you imagine? There's the man blowing the green, as they call it, Boyd. I think you call it the green flame. We don't know what it is. We don't know what it is, but I've had in my past career experience with Gary Hart, and I know he's an unscrupulous, heartless individual. And everybody has watched Skandor Akbar for years, and so Gary Hart's Kabuki, a master of the martial arts, not awesome in power and size like Kamala, with technique, stealth, quickness. And of course, he's in there against a young man that is extremely fast. Kabuki won't be an overpowering type. He's like a big, huge pillar that you strike with a sword. He'll absorb it, he'll pick his spot, and then he'll attack. Look at that beautiful move. Kick back in, foot sweep underneath. Softens his man up. He takes his time. He's like a cat. Look at that thrust kick. The man's balance is just phenomenal. Gary Hart would not have had the tremendous success he's had with the great Kabuki. And like I say, what an awesome thing if I read the evil intent in their hearts that Kabuki and Kamala teamed up. Chop. And of course, Stagger Lee, Mr. USA Tony Atlas not here tonight. Dick Murdoch, I'm sure, was watching, as was Mr. Wrestling 2. You see Tim Horner try to come in and Kabuki with his reverse swing kick into the ribs. The man can attack you from any angle. He's got tremendous skills. Attacking the nerve centers and the trapezes. Did you note before, while the managers were discoursing, he was sitting there with double nunchucks. Very quick with them. You know, many people try nunchucks and they can't even handle one set without killing themselves. And he was sitting there behind that awesome, ugly mask that had some surely tribal ritual meaning and doing those nunchucks as he must have done since childhood in the Far East. When they become a master of their art, they have not done it like Vince Lombardi says, practice doesn't make perfect, perfect practice makes perfect. And they've done it and done it and done it to where it's a reaction. You don't have to think about it. Isn't it to be good in any sport? It has to be a reaction, because you don't have time to think under the stress of what you're going through. Tacks in there again. He knows every nerve. Got him drive in underneath, behind the pectoral. I'm sure that Tim Horner is in agonizing pain. Gary Hart of H&H Enterprises Incorporated looking on, and I'll tell you, I know from years past when he had the spoiler, when he had Pak Song Nam, Killer Khan, many others. I know how heartless that man is. As a matter of fact, in Florida, I generally don't like to brag about violence, but I kicked him where he had to wear a cast on his jaw for some 6 weeks. And I don't think once in my life that was punishment enough, because I've seen him hurt so badly, so many. Kabuki doing his martial arts. Tim Horner trying to fire back. But as I said, Tim Horner's got the great Kabuki. Tim Horner, very agile man. But again, Kabuki is not the awesome powerhouse. He is the man of skill, the man of technique. Look, him stopped him with a thrust kick into the belly. Body check. Tim Horner showing that agility, leaps, but Kabuki's waiting for him. Thrust kick into the throat. Karate delivery. Tim Horner. Gary Hart quick in there to break Kabuki off and stop him. Awesome things to come, Boyd.
It is, Bill, and we'll have outstanding tag team action to follow after this important message.
And now a non-title tag team event for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. In the red corner, the Mid-South Tag Team Champions at 268 pounds from Omaha, Nebraska, Ted DiBiase. And his partner at 241 pounds from Atlanta, Georgia, Matt Bourne. In the blue corner at 242 pounds from New York City, Bruno Sammartino Jr. And his partner at 238 pounds from Richmond, Virginia, Buddy Landell.
There's the introduction of the Mid-South Tag Team title holders, Matt Bourne and Ted DiBiase, against Bruno Sammartino Jr. and Buddy Landell. Bill Watts, I know that in the past you wrestled Bruno Sammartino, and I believe it was in the old Madison Square Garden. And if I recall the statistics from professional wrestling that I've been in so long, it's the largest crowd ever in the Madison Square Garden, not only for professional wrestling, but for any event. Is that right? I know you don't want to maybe admit it, but that is the truth.
Yes, yeah, that's true, Boyd. And I guess that's something you can be proud of. Fortunately, they've tore down the old garden and built a newer and bigger one. So that old record stands, because records are just made to be broken. And Bruno Sammartino Jr., there's 3 men in that ring right now that fathers were great main event wrestlers. And Bruno Sammartino Jr.'s father was probably one of the greatest. He headlined cards all over the East Coast, Australia, the world for many, many years. A powerful man, first man ever in the history of the United States to bench press 585 pounds. He did that in 1961. With a 2-second pause, and being a professional in one sport, it wasn't recognized in the amateur annals. And his son there is trying to follow in his footsteps, a powerful young man. And look at him take Ted DiBiase, and look at him take Matt Bourne. And these men come from a heritage, tremendous family background in wrestling. And the Mid-South Tag Champions are out there, and Bruno Sammartino Jr. has these people up because they recognize This young man is tremendously strong. Buddy Landell offering congratulations as the excitement and the emotion flows. You wonder almost where is the rest of the Rat Pack. One member missing. You got to check the crowd, make sure there's no gorillas in the crowd with balloons or hiding under the ring or under a rock, as Dick Murdoch says, because the Rat Pack is journeying together, and if they get in trouble, Hacksaw Duggan will probably be on the scene. You know, Duggan, or I can't get his name exactly right. I guess that's not the important thing. Made some tremendous remarks to Paul Bosch about the Brass Knucks trophy, and many people have asked me. I am not coming out of retirement, and whenever Paul Bosch, Grizzly Smith, Charlie Lay, the board of directors of Mid-South want to have a tournament for the Brass Knucks trophy, I would certainly love to be there as a spectator. And I think Paul Bosch is going to have Houston as one of the bidding cities on that, and there is some motion in that direction. There's several things coming up, Boyd. There's some contention at the last board of directors meeting of Mid-South that the growth of Mid-South, which has expanded into Houston, Oklahoma, Arkansas, that possibly the state titles, the Mississippi state title and the Louisiana state title, will be retired this year because the North American title and the Mid-South tag titles are titles that cover so much more of a regional area and are of so much more importance. It's not putting any of the state titles down. They don't want to hold another tournament for the Arkansas title or for a Texas title or an Oklahoma title. They just feel it would be diluting the championship. It's just like in Oklahoma, they have 120 schools that have amateur wrestling. They have 4 classes of champion. In California, they have 800 schools that have amateur wrestling. They only have 1 champion in each class. Who do you feel is the true champion? Naturally, in California, because they haven't diluted championships. I don't believe championships are gifts or laurels just been indiscriminately handed out. I think that a person wants to be a champion. He is proud of that, and he wants to be a champion of the most competition. And definitely with the growth of Mid-South and the respect, it's probably the 3rd largest wrestling organization now in the United States. I think the board of directors may be making sense, and we'll hear more of that sooner. But right now, the match. Ted DiBiase out there with Buddy Landell. Buddy's face is red from catching a couple of shots out there. San Martino Jr. is exhorting him on. Buddy Landell comes out. Mr. Wrestling 2 in a television main event against gorgeous Gino Hernandez next. Gino Hernandez undefeated in Mid-South Wrestling television. And of course, Mr. Wrestling 2, who apologized to Mr. Olympia and to Stagger Lee for losing his temper against Kamala Akbar and Kamala's man Friday. An awesome tag behind his back. I don't think that Matt Bourne saw that. Good move by Landell and San Martino Jr. And DiBiase coming in the ring, and it's not legal, and Usher runs him out. DiBiase coming on out there, but Bruno San Martino Jr. meets him. I don't think DiBiase feels the legal man's in the ring. I think he didn't see that tag behind his back. Usher gets him out of the ring. Body slam on Bourne, and San Martino Jr. goes to work on him. Ted DiBiase in there, firing away. Bruno Sammartino switches behind. Oh, and he's got DiBiase in a world of trouble. You know, oftentimes DiBiase is so obsessed with the Stagger Lee situation. And like I say, only till the end of January, and then the Junkyard Dog is able to come back to Mid-South, and we could have an awesome team combination with the Junkyard Dog and Stagger Lee. And there's a lot of controversy. Is Stagger Lee the Junkyard Dog? If so, at the time that the Junkyard Dog would reveal himself, who would be the North American champion? A lot of controversy starting off 1983. DiBiase on the ring. He's putting something in that glove behind the referee's back. Landell. And DiBiase tagged Buddy Landell from outside. The crowd is upset. but it's a victory for the Mid-South Tag Team Champions.
We'll be back. Television main event, Mr. Wrestling 2 versus Gorgeous Gino Hernandez, right after this word.
This event is for one fall or remaining television time. In the red corner at 235 pounds from Houston, Texas, Gorgeous Gino Hernandez. And in the blue corner at 236 pounds from Atlanta, Georgia, Mr. Wrestling 2.
Good television main event. The man who self-proclaims himself as Gorgeous Gino Hernandez takes on the living legend in professional wrestling, Mr. Wrestling 2. Rick Pereira, referee, calls for the bell. Here's Bill.
Should be a great match. Here you have experience, maturity, proven reputation, proven internal toughness. The man with the knee, Mr. Wrestling 2. And when you hear him go to the ring, the whole arena goes 2, 2, 2, 2. He's captivated because this man has got so much heart. You know, you can't disguise heart. On the other side, there's youth. Gorgeous Gino Hernandez, fast fame, primarily in the Houston area. A youngster that, good-looking athlete, has all the attributes. What will be the answer? I think it'll come down into conditioning and heart. How many times, Boyd, have we sat here and watched youngsters that got too much too soon and failed to go to that gymnasium or got into other things that took away from their physical strength, burned that candle at both ends? And that can be the telling tale. My gosh, we saw the University of Oklahoma at the Fiesta Bowl, and strictly an opinion because I've played formerly at Oklahoma University and I'm very close and support their program so well, but we saw a team that took the holidays a little too lightly and certainly didn't report in shape, and especially some key people to their whole offense, and it gave Arizona State a tremendous victory because of almost the country club-like atmosphere of the training schedule of the University of Oklahoma. So you can understand that in team sports as well as individual sports. Quick takeover by Mr. Wrestling 2. Forcing Gorgeous Gino to carry that weight. That's what wears you down. When you headlock a guy, you want to be leaning on them. Everything you do, you want to lean on them. Make them carry your weight. That makes them carry their own weight plus yours. And the guy is geared and built and conditioned to carry his own weight. Now Gino's reversed the table on Wrestling 2. But Wrestling 2 standing tall, trying to get up there to get the weight off. Body check. Headlock. Gorgeous Gino Hernandez is up against a living legend. And of course, Gorgeous Gino thinks he's a living legend already. But let me tell you, sometimes you become a living legend and sometimes you become a flash in the pan. Gorgeous Gino's got another man hot on his trail, Boyd Pierce, Chavo Guerrero. Probably one of the most dynamic. Oh, and he's... Let me tell you, you see fire coming out of those eyes right there under that mask?
He could have done a lot of other things except that.
He could have done anything, Boyd, but slapping a man is an insult. And when you're a man and not a sissy, you'd rather be hit, kicked, anything but slapped. Gorgeous Gino. Well, I'll tell you, Wrestling 2 is smoldering. I don't know if we're going to have enough time. Whoa, he caught it. I don't know if we're going to have enough time for this match. Television time running out, but it's sure heating up now. 2 gives a sign. The audience starts hollering 2, 2, 2, 2. And Gorgeous Gino. Gorgeous Gino kicking it in gear. Next week we will have Chavo Guerrero and Gorgeous Gino Hernandez. And Gorgeous Gino went over the top and out. And Rick Ferrara is getting on wrestling too, but I want to make crystal clear that the rule reads if you intentionally throw the man over the top rope, it's a disqualification. And you can see Two's intent was not to throw Gorgeous Gino off of the top. Just the momentum of the arm whip. Caught up. Gorgeous Gino into a suplex, and he's going up. Gorgeous Gino going up for his patented. Two's out of the way. Two is up, and there's that knee lift. Wrestling two. 1, 2, 3. Great victory, and we all see Wrestling two, and there Gorgeous Gino found out just what living legends are made of. And Boyd Pierce, next week, we'll have Kevin Von Erich here on Mid-South Wrestling. Also, Gorgeous Gino Hernandez versus Chavo Guerrero, and Grizzly Smith just informed me. What I feared has happened has happened. A new tag team combination next week. Kamala, the Ugandan Warrior, and the Great Kabuki as H&H Enterprises and Skandar Akbar team up here next week on Mid-South Wrestling.
Don't you dare miss it next week. Until then, for our guest commentator, Bill Watts, I'm your host, Boyd Pierce, saying goodbye, everybody, from Mid-South Wrestling Television Network.